Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 315. That's not how those numbers look, Adrian, of the Board Game Barbecue podcast presented by Advent Games and our Patreons. You have Connor here live from PAX. I'm joined by not one, not two, but 5 other members of the Board Game Barbecue. We're joined here with 80, Mitch, Dan, Joe, and Dana.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, 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 whoop. Quick, make a sound.
Boom, shakalaka.
Boom, shakalaka. Quick, Mitch, make a sound. Great.
Yep.
Dan, quick, make a sound.
I'm tired.
Joe.
I love you.
You too, buddy. And Dana, quick, make a sound.
Okay.
That's
on brand.
Yeah. So what we're doing is we're quickly doing a live intro to our episode for PAX here. I'm just going to go around the horn and we're going to pretty much say what's been a highlight, what we've been doing recently. Adi, I want to swing it over to you first. What's been something that you have enjoyed doing today?
My highlight so far is playing Things and Rings. I actually didn't feel I could feel any dumber until I started to play that game. But then I felt incredibly intelligent because my 2 co-hosts next to me actually managed to make me feel incredibly intelligent because they couldn't figure out any of the game and just sat there losing it and throwing their cards down and going, not playing this anymore.
I was in good spirits until the very end when everyone said, no, that doesn't go. They're virtually in unison. And I was like, this game, I can't deal. But the fellow sort of Neanderthal of the group, Mitch, what's been your highlight? Hopefully not Things and Rings and Things, whatever it's called.
It's easier for me to identify a low light because I've had many of them. There's multiple games I've played today where I scored 0 points overall. Including one in the new demo game section with the indie game developers. That would be my highlight, I think, is the indie game developers playing some of these newer games that people are bringing up and just the enthusiasm these people have for their games and seeing how much passion they've put into the design and they're finally getting to show it. So I really enjoy that, even if the games are too complicated for my small brain. But yeah, so that's where I would go, I think, with it.
Yeah, the indie games have been really cool. It's nice, and they're local designers, so they're all Aussies or from the Pacific or something like that. So it's nice to see. And I think Dan's maybe kept his eyes open for maybe some that will go into Designer Alley potentially.
Yeah, there could be some candidates for PlayCon next year. Hopefully we'll see some. It's good actually to see some of the guys at Collaboratory and at the PAX Rising that were at PlayCon earlier this year. Seeing some familiar faces in the play testing area. Probably stand out for me was Oracle, which is a game I had no idea about, but it was a cool little 5-player deduction, hidden roll, but then also you're attacking each other, but you don't quite know whose side you're on or who you're trying to defeat in order to win. That was super cool. Really enjoyed that.
I don't know if I like that game because Mitch won that, didn't you?
So that was one I did win.
Yeah, but it didn't involve points. That was the reason why.
And like you said, it was a local designer, James, who we got to speak to. And yeah, it's just great seeing these new little card games. There's some complicated games out there as well, which is always good. There's always a market for those. But I think that in the indie sort of collaborative bit, it just feels a lot bigger than last year, particularly in the main space with the indie stuff.
I feel like over the past few years that we've been here, that's grown a lot, and it's just more professional and just better run and more streamlined. And there's some issues with some people saying that they don't like that area is moved to the front with the video game section, but for me as a customer, I actually liked that because we got away from the tabletop space and you can walk around a little bit, and it's busier because the video game market brings in the
PAX
groups.
have positioned it right up front, so as
100%.
soon as you walk in, you walk straight into the indie designers area, which is great for them.
What I think is really interesting is that it's been a couple of years since I've been to PAX properly, and there's been a really large growth of the share of tabletop games and RPGs compared to video games. There's a lot less video games than even 3 or 4 years ago, and a lot more tabletop stuff around, so it's really nice to see.
Yeah, Joe, you're a bit of a PAX vet, but it's your first time as a member of the podcast. How have you seen it? Have you seen it any differently? Do you see it with a different eye, or what's been your thoughts?
Not because of the podcast. I'm more tired because I have a child, so I have less steam to run out of very quickly. So, but it's been nice. I think having more of a critical eye for games probably more than I previously would have. I would have just enjoyed it. Whereas now I'm actually assessing, is it a good game? Why is it good? And what do I like about it?
Yep. And finally, Dana, you can put PAX on your punch card. You bringing that back, your punch card. You can find us at your first ever PAX.
PAX virgin. I'm a PAX virgin.
Why? Why do you always have to turn it into something weird like that? So,
I haven't said that word before.
far out.
Nova's half from Brisbane.
You made it weird, Dana. You made it weird.
So, like, it is PAX. You've popped your PAX cherry. Let's put it that way. So, it's first time at PAX. What are you thinking? You said you're a little bit nervous, but what are you thinking now?
I was nervous, but
Everyone's nervous in their first time, by the way. It's normal.
it's been really wonderful, and it's been eye-opening. It's eye-opening to me just to see all the different costumes and people that we don't normally get to see at game days and things like that. Maybe we will get them at PlayCon, I don't know, at some point in the future, but that has been really good. But the favourite thing for me so far has been catching up with the Patreons. We've had quite a few from Sydney, Brisbane and Melbourne. I've met people that I see online, and I finally got to put a face to a name, like speaking to Eric from After Game, who I'd never met before. And some of us in the Board Game Barbecue crew got gifted these personalised damage counters with the Board Game Barbecue logo on it, and they were made by Cindy and Beran. And it's just been amazing. The atmosphere is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I've been looking forward to this weekend for probably since PAX finished last weekend, and myself, Adrian and Dan sort of said, if we could just have almost like an extra set of hands for each of us, and it's been a dream. It's been so good. So it's obviously a lot more special having everyone here. Jules he's here, but he's not with us at the moment because he's working his absolute tail off. So shout out to Jules and pretty much running that whole Let's Play games and space. So that's pretty awesome. And yeah, Joe.
There's a couple of games I want to talk about. So I got to play SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, with Adrian.
So good.
Hot off the presses from Essen. It's not available in Australia. It was really good, really fun. It's a Czech Games Edition game and beautiful production.
If they had it here today, I would have insta-bought that.
100%.
After the first 15 minutes,
100%.
I was like, I would buy this. And then to find out they don't have it here on sale yet,
Yeah.
on the pre-order list instantaneously.
Yeah. We'll
Brilliant
definitely
game.
talk about it in more detail on the pod. And then the game that really blew my socks off today was Tropical by Chris Anthony. It's a two-player card game, which is I Split, You Choose, and it was so much fun. It was so mean. I was playing mind game. Me and Mitch were playing. I was playing mind games with him.
It was fun
awesome.
because you destroyed me. You just,
Correct.
just manipulated my brain
Yeah.
in a way that made you feel empowered
Yeah.
and superior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to show love that way, to my friends. Is fucking
You must love me
manipulate
a
you.
lot then.
That's right. I more than doubled your score, so it was awesome. I loved it so much. I was not expecting it, and really deep. I'll definitely talk about it more on the pod later.
Yeah, that looked cool, and you guys both ran over to me and was like, you have to play this game, you've got to play this game, so I was pretty keen on that. So I'm booked in to try Dead Cells tomorrow, so I'm really keen to give that a go as well. I played a lot of indie stuff today that will probably be covered in the video package or the audio package, so that'll be pretty cool. Anyone else have anything they wanted to talk about? Or yeah, 80, of course, has to have the last word.
We are keeping tradition, and we are going to Five Guys as soon as we finish this recording. So I'm very excited about that. The peanut butter milkshake all the way. And yeah, see you there later.
Yeah, very good again. So we'll we'll wrap this up with a cool little audio package that I'm sure Dan or whoever's going to edit. No, Dan say no, but he always does a great job. And so again, thanks to our sponsors. Thanks for everyone who got us in the door. So we were lucky to have a media badge. Dan did a lot of work to get those. Thanks for that. Yeah, anything to say, Dan? Speech.
No, it's been fantastic. It's already exceeded our expectations, and after the audio pack, we'll be checking back in again. For you guys, it'll only be in about 20 minutes' time from now, but we're going to do another recording at the end of Saturday and debrief our Friday night, our Patreon breakfast, and also our Saturday at PAX Australia.
I want to ask, did anybody buy anything?
Yes, I've already bought Landmarks, just something I've been wanting to play for a while, which is like the new code games, they say. I bought Turbulence, which is the expansion to Sky Team, and I picked up Sea Salt and Paper, and the expansion.
I bought a gift for Dan to keep his Lorcana crack habit on the run, because I don't want him to fall off the edge, so I'm keeping him in that habit on the main line.
I was
jittery
when I saw the Lorcana sign.
Just a couple of booster packs, and hopefully he'll pull an epic card. That's my wish. If he pulls an amazing card, that'll be icing on the cake.
And me and Joe definitely didn't buy any Lorcana. No, we did not buy any Lorcana at all.
No. I curse having jumped in that line with you. I had no intention of buying anything. I was like, I'll just stand in the line with Connor, and I spent hundreds of dollars on Lorcana.
He actually said to me in the queue, he's like, you buying anything? I was like, oh no, I might get Dan a couple of booster packs so he doesn't have to queue up. And then I said, are you getting anything? He said, no. And then I turned around 5 minutes later. He has a box that weighs about 4 kilos, and he's got a pin. He spent so much money, he got a gold pin.
got 2 pins.
2 pins? Oh wow, special.
It's like the opposite of when you go in those programs and you get off debilitating substances. Now it's like, no, you're in. You get a pin for how much money you spend now.
Exactly.
So, it's been great so far. And, hopefully you enjoy the audio package and we'll touch in after that. Thanks, guys.
Okay, we're here at PAX 2024 with Paul Bedford, who's the designer of Hunted by God. We, myself, Dan and Dana, just sat down and had a quick demo and a bit of a playthrough. How are you going today, Paul?
I'm going very well, mate. Thank you for coming along. I was pretty surprised to walk into the con setup and then the barbecue board game guys come along. And, it was great to meet all you guys. And then you said you're going to play a game, which is both exciting and terrifying.
It's a resource collection sort of gathering game, but at the same time, you're also competing against the gods, which are played by the game, and other players can also interact with you. There's a lot of player interaction with the way that the different factions work as well. It's a heavier game. It's on the heavy side. There's a lot of different things you can do. There's a lot of different actions on each of your player boards. So what are your plans moving forward with the game?
We're looking at, most game designers, when they come up with a game, they think they'll be kickstarting it in a week or so. We are 6 years into the design now, and we're looking at kickstarting Q1 next year, so hopefully March, April, and hopefully Frosthaven 3 is not being released around there, but we're looking at first quarter next year.
Great, that sounds good. And if anyone was interested in checking the game out, having a look at it, where can they find you guys?
Okay, so we're on Facebook as Hunted by God. Just look up Hunted by God. We've given it a nice, easy title. It's a private group. Just go in there. I'll approve you. And we're also on Instagram as Hunted by God on those two.
Awesome, Paul. Thanks for that. Thanks for your time, and hope you have a good rest of your PAX.
Lovely, Mitch. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for bringing the guys along. Love your work.
I'm here at the Oz Indie Showcase with one of the PAX Rising winners for PAX Australia this year, James, and his game Oracle. James, what can you tell us about your card game Oracle?
Hello, so to summarise, it is a casual social deduction and battle card game.
We've just finished a 5-player game. We had a lot of fun with it. What was the inspiration behind creating Oracle?
Well, to be fair, so this story goes back to when I was in uni in 2021. I went to this board game social event, and the main goal was obviously to meet new people. It was start a semester, and I got stuck into this game, but it had like a massive rule sheet, and it took multiple hours, and so the event actually ended before the game ended, so I didn't end up meeting many people. So that day, I got thinking, I was wondering whether I could create a game that was both really easy to play, short runtime, but also dramatic, having replayability, raising the voice at the table, that sort of thing, and that's how Oracle was born.
Well, I think you've achieved that because it was quite raucous, the 5-player game we have. Just quickly, what's the elevator pitch for the game, and can you explain how the 5 roles work?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are 5 different roles. There's the Crown, Usurper, Cultist, Demon Lord, and Knight. They each have their own unique objectives to eliminate different players. Now, obviously, at the start of the game, you only know who the Crown is, so the rest of the roles are hidden. And you have to figure out who your targets are based on their behavior, and also have to pay attention on the order of eliminating the targets, because otherwise you may help assist someone else's win condition. And that's the game.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I really enjoyed is even though there are 17, so there's 17 unique cards in the deck, but there's three main types, and one is to sort of to build buildings in front of your kingdom, if you like, so that you can get buffs and increase your hand size or increase your attack limit, but also defend anyone at any time. So as the knight who has to protect the crown, you don't want to maybe reveal your role too early.
Yeah, you definitely have to strike this balance where maybe you can't reveal who you are too early, because then people will sort of latch onto you and target you. Or maybe you might want to reserve your cards and try to build up into one big strike. So there's a bunch of different play styles, and the way the cards work with, as you said, the buildings, and there's also like spells, offensive cards and basic cards, and there's a lot of different elements which allow for a high level of strategy, I guess. So even if you're not too much of a social deduction person, I personally am really bad at lying, you can sort of get around that just through the strategy and through the different battle mechanics.
That's awesome. So if people want to find out more about Oracle, where can they follow you? Where can they find the game?
Yeah, absolutely. So on Google, you can search up Oracle Card Game. It's the top result, and there's the official website there. There's also on Instagram and Facebook, Oracle Card Game, same thing. And give us a follow, and you can track what's happening.
Awesome. Good. So thanks very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
All right, so I've got Chris here from Crunchy Games. I've just played his game, Crane Fractured Empire. Chris, tell us a little bit about Crane Fractured Empire, how long it's been in development for, and then how did you go about getting it sort of on display here at PAX Rising?
Sure. Crane is a deck building game, high fantasy theme, where strong emphasis on the deck building part. It was published 3 years ago with an expansion that came out last year. And the development time was about 6 years before that, with lots of play testing. How did we get to PAX? Well, originally we came to PAX 2019 when this was in a demo form, and we got a lot of feedback regarding the visual of it and how the gameplay played out. And we made some changes to make it better before we're releasing it a couple of years later.
So who's been working on it, yourself, and who else has been sort of doing not the play testing, because it is a finished product, you have got it for sale here today, but who's sort of been helping you out with the process?
Okay, it's just me that creates it. I've got a few friends who are really into it and like to play test my crazy ideas. So yeah, once I get an idea and I print it off and make it all pretty for them, and they get to test it out, and then it gets changed.
Gets changed, yeah. Like that's a whole constant thing, right? That constant development. And so I really liked it. I thought it was a really fun game. It reminded me of the good parts of deck builders. So I played a lot of deck builders in my time, so like Dominion, Marvel, Legendary, all that type of stuff. I liked the faction-specific powers. So what was your inspiration for some of the factions? It's kind of like that. Would you call it high fantasy, or what type of fantasy would you call it?
I would call it high fantasy. Yeah. I was actually a big fan of the game Heroes of Might and Magic.
Sure, yep.
Heroes 3 back in the 90s and the 2000s. So that's where I got a lot of the inspiration for the factions from, and just the feel in general.
So, and I think the other thing that works for you is one of the other guys I was playing with said, oh, like the blue cards are tricky, and it kind of feels like, the blue cards are, playing tricks on people or gives you a bit of flexibility. The green cards are the orcs, and they cause a bit of chaos. Yep. You've got the demons that are red, and that is the sacrificing, and then black's sort of the necromancy and stuff like that. So it's clear that it's got that inspiration of might and magic. At the moment, you've got one expansion that's for sale. What else is in the pipeline for Crane?
Okay, well, I've got another 4 expansions in mind, and that I've actually been playtesting. 2 of them are pretty close to completion. I'm just waiting for a good time to release. I do have them here. I can show them around.
Yeah, cool. So, like I said, you're from Crunchy Games. Where can people find more information about Crunchy Games and Crane?
crunchygames.com.
Okay. And follow you on Instagram or any other socials?
I've got an Instagram account, Crunchy Games, and Crane is on Facebook.
Crane's on Facebook too. And pretty good BGG rating at the moment as well. Was it 8.1? 8.1, awesome. That's Crane. I'm here with Chris here at PAX Rising, one of the rising stars here at PAX. Really good game, and thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
All right, I'm here with Sheldon, one of the indie game designers here in the collaboratory at PAX Australia 2024, and I got to play his game Heckle Havoc, which was really fun. Sheldon, why don't you tell our listeners about Heckle Havoc?
Okay, so it's an improv storytelling game Some player makes up a story, gets a character, a setting, and a goal, and the other players heckle them. It's that simple. It's a variation of the improv game, the change game. So as you're going through your goal, I want to go to the store, not that. And then you just have to sort of improv your way out of it as they throw plot twists and genre shifts and things like that at you. 3 to 8 people, but there's another way to play it. You can do scenes. So this is a really good introduction to improv if you've never done it before. Try and resolve your goal, but then also deal with the heckles. It's really just quite a silly, fun game where there's no stress or pressure. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with it.
Yeah, great. So I played it, and I've had some friends play it, and they really enjoyed it as well. I really enjoyed it. I agree. I think it's a good way if you're not got a lot of improv chops, and you're someone who wants to get into role-playing, for example. It's a good way to practice the thinking on your feet that sometimes you need with role-playing sometimes. And I think there's 2 ways. There's a few ways to play it, which is what I really liked about it, right? So you could be supportive friends and like put out cards where, you know, it'll help make the story more fulsome, and then you could be bastards. And give them really hard cards as well. Have you seen different variations on play styles with the game?
Absolutely. We tried to push it to the limit of kind of being as mean as we could. And the worst thing you could do is not play a card, but then it's just so much fun to you can't stop yourself from playing a Y or a Y. If you have kids, you'll understand. You get 5 Ys in a row and the person is on such a tangent, they don't even know who they are anymore.
I think so. A perfect example when I was the one having to come up with the story. I think the setting was an alien spaceship from memory, and then in the game, what you're doing is the people who are heckling will play heckle cards, and those cards will be things like "not that," or we have to change what you just said, or "why" to explain why you said what you just said, and flesh out the story a bit more. And I remember you guys had played it was something to do with, I actually can't remember how we got there, but it transitioned from a spaceship to an orphanage because you guys had played 5 not that cards in a row, and I had to change the story 5 times to the point where I was like, I don't know how I ended up here. It was very funny. It was very funny.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, well, look, I'm so happy you had a good time, and everyone here has been so enthusiastic about it. I can't be happier.
So it's still in the prototype phase. Do you kind of have a plan for how long it's going to take, or a timeline for where you want to get it ready for people to play a bit more widely?
Ambitiously, Christmas. That would be
this
goal.
Year.
Yeah, that's the goal. I want to get rid of those last little misprints, and then I think we're ready to go. I just couldn't have been more pleased with how it worked out, and I think it's ready.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, thanks so much, Sheldon. It was great to play a game, and hopefully will people be able to see the game anywhere else in the future?
I'm going to try and roll it out to all the improv theatres, but apart from that, I've got the domain for hecklehavoc.com, but apart from that, Instagram.
Have you built the website?
No.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But you've got an Instagram?
Yes.
So what's the handle on Instagram so people can come and follow you?
At Heckle Havoc.
Great. Do you do improv? You're an improv person?
I've done a few classes, and then I had a kid, and then I had another kid, so it's been a while. But in short, I wouldn't consider myself an improv person.
Sure. Yes. It's okay. I've got a 2-year-old. I understand children ruin your life. That's true. Yeah. Thanks so much, Sheldon. Hope you enjoy the rest of PAX.
Thank you so much, Joe. Appreciate it.
And I'm here with Pavel of Shenka. We've just played his game, Trip of the Day, Australia edition, in the collaboratory section, hosted by the TGDA. And it was a great game. I just wanted to find out what inspired you to make a trip-based game with sort of a hidden movement element involved.
Hi, Adrian. Yes, it does have that hidden movement element involved. In terms of where it comes from, I think it comes from the sort of natural puzzle of trying to figure out the public transport if you're visiting a city. You're always trying to think, where to change, what's the best route and stuff like that. And on top of that, I just enjoy maps. So the map was first. The hidden movement just came out later, and thought it looked like it would be a good solution to show how several people will be trying to visit different places without necessarily knowing where they are at all times.
It's a great concept because we've kind of stepped away from traditional maps and we now use GPS for everything. So for me, as someone that's lived in both worlds, I did the maps thing as I grew up and was a backpacker. So I used to buy a map and travel around, and there's something nice about holding a physical map, and it reminds me of those days. Is there like an emotional connection to that part of the world that you just wanted to try and bring back and enjoy?
Yes, definitely. I did the same thing. There was several times when I was younger, I traveled, before the GPS days, where you're trying to figure out what's actually marked and what's not marked on the map. So that's the interesting part. This is contained to a city, so it's obviously much smaller scale. But yeah, like the design of the game sort of takes me into that, in a way, nostalgic direction of the old paper maps that had a different feel to it.
It's kind of a beautiful thing because it feels like a paper map. It feels right. It feels tactile. So it's a great thing for a board game to have that feel. But it also does cross over into the new world because essentially you're visiting places around Melbourne or Sydney and other parts of the world, and you're trying to chase likes and post on Facebook. So is that kind of an admission to we are in a new world and this is kind of part of our society, and is it something that you've just sort of noticed has grown over the time?
Yes, and again, this is the funny thing with this game, that it wasn't part of the original idea. Original idea was definitely just the map, and then as I started like figuring out things, how to mark them and how to do them, like the newer side of things came up. So with the pins that you often see on like Google Maps or stuff like that, and with the emojis that are so popular, it just felt like something that visually would look nice on a board game.
Yeah, it works very well. So
thanks for that.
All the best. Have a great PAX, and thank you for the conversation.
Thanks for stopping by, and thanks for trying the game.
Anytime. Thank you, bro. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
If you want to buy the latest games, there's no better place than Advent Games. They have a huge selection of games with heaps of different categories, like light and fun, Euro heavyweights, or hard to find games to help you find the best fit for your game night. On top of being a great bloke and an avid gamer himself, Dean provides excellent customer service, is very responsive to questions or inquiries, and offers flat rate shipping across Australia. So to grab your games, head to adventgames.com.au. That's adventgames.com.au.
Well, here we are. We're back again. We've survived day 2. We're about to launch ourselves
Barely.
a little bedraggled into day 3, but we thought we'd quickly recap our exploits from day 1 and some of our adventures of day 2 as well.
For me, I really enjoyed Landmarks. I thought it was great. I didn't think I'd like it, if I'm honest. As soon as it was like maps with code names, I was like, oh God, here I am. It's come to this. And then Joe started to do the clues, and it got great because he was terrible, and he was getting angry at everybody for guessing wrong, and he blamed us rather than his bad clue management. Yeah, that's happened twice.
Yeah, so what Adrian doesn't know is the first game we played when we demoed it, I smashed it, and they smashed it.
Joe was the clue master.
Yes, but then the second and third game was not good.
He was hyped up as being a clue master when he sat down. Everyone said, Naomi actually said, he's really good at the clues, he'll do the clues, and it was tragic. But it was great.
I was set up to fail.
Yeah. We put you on a pedestal and then immediately kicked you off of it. But no, it was a really fun game that I didn't think I'd enjoy. And then also Lords of Vegas was great because I have a kind of prior history of Mitch with anything he likes. I tend to just dislike, and I've played them and they're not bad, they're not top tier, but I really feel that Lords of Vegas is a top tier game. I thought it was brilliant. It was smooth, it was cutthroat, it was highly interactive. I loved the way you could sort of build out your casino but then immediately lose it by pulling the wrong card. It was just fun. It was a blast. Nothing to do with I stomped and won the game. That had nothing to do with the experience, but it definitely added to it. So,
look, I enjoyed Landmarks as well. I was part of the group, and I marvelled at Joe's clue giving. So it was very, very.
Is that what we call it? Marvelled? We call it marvelled?
Yeah.
Shut up.
And it was fantastic. But I got to play a game actually that I'd never played anything like it before, which was a TCG called Altered, and it was something completely out of anything I would ever choose to play, to be honest. But I played against Connor, and smashed him. And it was a really great experience. And I keep walking past that Lorcana stand, thinking, "Oh God, should I buy something?" And I'm very tempted. So I think I'm actually going to try it today. Actually, the most difficult thing at this convention was actually trying to sign out a game out of the library. Like, I could not sign a game out of the library because I didn't have
Because you didn't follow the rules.
photo ID, and I offered them my shoes, and they said no.
They
And then I
declined?
said- and then I said one shoe, because I can't possibly walk around with one shoe. What about one shoe? They wouldn't accept that. And then I saw a lady who I'd played a game with, and I said, "Look, she knows me. She knows me." And and she said, "I've never seen her before. I've never seen her before in my life." And fortunately, the guy who ran the library knew Dan, and he said, "I'll walk you over to Dan, and if he can vouch for you, then I'll give you the game."
He only walked you back because you were lost. You were like, who am I? Who am I? Yeah.
So against his better judgment, Delwyn actually allowed you to rent some games from the PAX library, so you're very lucky.
I thought you were being escorted out of the venue. I was like, Dana's the last one of us to get escorted out of the venue.
She threw a glass at the manager. She's got to go.
If it was going to be anyone getting escorted out of the venue, it would have been me yeeting the Lords of Vegas table after it got reorganised and I lost my casino. But that was a fun game. I think this is similar to your comment. It'll go down a bit of infamy, Mitch, that might dissect when it's not so fresh. But yeah, that was cool. That was fun because I got to play Lords of Vegas, the Tombstone expansion, mod, whatever you want to call it, with Mitch, Dan, Harry, Jace, and Mark. So that was really, really nice, and it was a fun time, like just the banter and all that stuff, and the really core fun parts. Lords of Vegas still there. Dana, you did not wipe the floor with me in Altered, by the way. I gave you the nanotacks, right? I said, all right, I'll give you the bit of a hit. No, it's not true. It's not true. Dana, for someone who has not dabbled in any trading card games or any card games of that matter, you actually did really well, and you picked it up quite quickly. So that could be just comparing it to myself, who, as we know, takes a long time to pick up anything. One highlight for me was actually, I spent a bit of time in the collab area yesterday, was trying Lee's game for the first time. So Lee Perrett's game, Packed Flat, sorry Lee, Packed Flat, and which is like an IKEA Lego game where you're making furniture. It was really, really fun. And again, we got to play it with Adi, Mitch, and was it Harry as well? Who else was there? Can't remember. Mitch is looking a bit funny, like he's going to remember.
Who was there? Oh, no, it was Mike.
And Mike, yep. And Mika, yeah, that's right. So, so that was really, really fun. And again, loving supporting the local designers. And
Halfway through that game, Connor had clocked that I cheated by accident, and then he turned around and said, "I'm not going to say anything to anyone, but if you beat me, I'm dobbing and I'm kicking off and everyone's going to know and it'll be my fair win." And then halfway through the game, I managed to get a card that allowed me to negate my cheating. And then I won, and he was just not happy about it. He was salty as a salt. Right.
And then talking about being salty and being cranky, whenever I got angry in Lords of Vegas, Mark would say, "Do you need an ice cream, Connor? Do you want me to go get ice cream?" And you even heard me from across the room kicking off.
I was like 4 tables away, and I heard him go, "This is stupid." And I was like, "Do you want an ice cream?" And he just looked at me, and the face said it all. You didn't even smile or do like a, "Oh no," you just looked bitter. Like you were just like staunched.
In terms of me, I think the game of yesterday was definitely landmarks as well. When it was sold to me as like Codenames plus Minesweeper, I was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to like this as well. But yeah, really, I was surprised at how good it was and how fun it is to be both the guesses and the the Noah, so definitely really enjoyed that yesterday. I played a couple of indie games as well. There was one called Mean, which is like a pretty simple round-the-table card game, which is about being mean. And so, yeah, really enjoyed it. And I'll talk about it more in another episode for sure.
Yeah, I think just to go on with Connor and Eddie said, I was in that flat pack game, but another indie game. I think indie games in general have been the highlight for most of us, and it's good to see a lot of new designers in Australia coming up in the hobby and really sort of putting good quality games forward. The one I'll sort of talk about is as a highlight was the
map game.
Yeah, the map game.
I forget the name.
Let's make a trip. Let's
something like
trip
that.
of the day.
Trip of the day. Yeah, that's it. Trip of the day.
Trip of the Day Australia, which was by Pav, which I think has just got so much potential in terms of, as Dan sort of I think pointed out, tying it in with tourism and being able to relive holiday experiences and see sites that are in the real world and having it all play out on a real map. I just think it's amazing.
Yeah, that's such an incredible concept that he could really go anywhere with it, and I hope he does, because it's amazing.
Yeah, and you see a lot of these sort of chuck together games to try and promote some other aspect of life.
NRMA Insurance.
i.e., insurance companies make terrible games.
Connor's forgotten about that game.
Promote their insurance company policies, but this one I think it's actually a good game.
Yeah,
there's stuff in there that have fun and ties it in with the social media theme and stuff as well, and making posts. And I think it just could really hit. I think if it gets to the point where that publishers, get it out in the market, then I think it could be a smash.
I would love to see someone make a really good insurance game, like something better than you don't have the right insurance in premium. Go back 3 spaces. I would.
No one wants that. Well, very few people want that.
I think my highlight in terms of games, and it was I was expecting it to be good, but I wasn't disappointed, and that was Compile. I was looking forward to playing this new 2-player game where there's about 10 or 12 different factions, and you take 3 of them, mix them together, and compete 1v1 against somebody else. And all the factions play completely different. So by combining 3 different ones together, there's infinite possibilities, infinite ways you can play it. Really, really enjoyed that with Mark. And one other thing that we should all mention, I suppose, as well, we can touch brief on, is that yesterday morning we had our Patreon breakfast meetup. So special thanks to everyone who came along, and it was just great to see old Patreons, great to see some brand new ones. We had some from interstate, from Tassie, and from Sydney and Brisbane. It's just awesome whenever we can have these opportunities to catch up with our Patreons.
And I met another Patreon yesterday who we didn't even know, Gareth. But I hope, Gareth, you've got to come next year to the Patreon breakfast, bro. It was great. You'll love it.
Oh, it was certainly great for me to put a face to a name for a lot of people that I speak to on social media, and I do really appreciate it. We had an offer to buy some Patreon shirts, which the artwork was done by Harry. Thank you, Harry. And the shirts look awesome, and it's really wonderful to see the Patreons are keen to wear it, and they're really proud to wear it, and it's great for us. So thank you very much.
It was really good about both the purple shirts we were wearing and the white shirts that Patreons were wearing is that if you were looking for someone, you're like, I know that I'm looking for Harry, he's wearing a Patreon shirt. You just look out for the white shirt and you could find them straight away. Or I was looking for you guys, I'd look for the purple shirt. So it was an added bonus for those shirts.
Kind of looked like Grimace. We could follow him anywhere. He's so big and purple. And he also had a Grimace shake.
No, I'm more Grimace shaped than Connor is. Yeah.
How many jewels are there here? There's like a jewels around every corner.
I got called
the bald
Jules
head,
twice yesterday.
the bald
It's the
head,
same
and
Jules. He's just
the
running
beard.
around everywhere.
And
He's
he was
just
in a board
out.
game. And he was in a board game. He was in the card game as well.
Can we give a shout out to Jules as well, because he hasn't been with us all weekend because he's been working his backside off for LPG, and I mean the stall and all the volunteers that they've got over there, everything's going really well for him. I'm really pleased that it's just going gangbusters, the LPG stuff.
I have been here like for the past 3 years or something, and it's got bigger and bigger each time. It sprawls all the way to the other side of the main event hall, so he's running around doing like 50,000 steps a day. And last year we actually got to hang out with him a little bit. He was present and we got to play some games and talk some rubbish. But this year we have not seen him at all because he is so busy. So massive, huge shout out to Jules and all the people at LPG and VR Distribution with their booth and all the volunteers that are doing an amazing job. All the guys that work in the PAX tabletop area. Yeah, just massive thanks. Like, you guys put a massive show on. So thank you very much.
I mean, I haven't been to PAX before, so this is my first time, but I haven't even felt the need to go to the the digital side of things, like where all, it sounds really old-fashioned, but anyway, the computer games, the computer games area.
That's because you don't understand how they work, Dana, which is fine. Like, that's okay.
Do they need electricity?
There's little hamsters
Pedal
that are,
power.
yeah, like the Flintstones.
But in previous years, I have seen photos of you guys, around the video game area and things like that, but I don't think there's been so much in the board game area with all the playtesting and then the tabletop area. That have you felt the need to sort of go outside of board gaming? Or?
I've been wandering through the video game area when I haven't been able to get into a demo. I've just wandered over and played a few things. There's some really awesome indie games that are here. I was thinking about talking about it on a Patreon episode maybe. It was, there's been some fantastic. I often, when I come to PAX, just stick to the indie spaces for both tabletop and video games, because it's just, you don't have to wait as long as the big names, and often the games are just so unique and so fresh. I just love it.
All right, so having said that, we're going to now jump to another package of some more interviews and shenanigans from PAX Australia. Enjoy.
Okay, I'm here today with Steve D from the Tin Star Games. We just had a game of The Score designed by Steve himself. How's things been so far, Steve?
It's been really, really good. We've been flat out. This is a new position for us at PAX, being right at the front for tabletop for once, and that's been really good.
Excellent. So Steve's game, The Score, is a 10 to 15 minute role-playing game where the game that we just played, we were breaking into Parliament House and all these things were going right and then things were going wrong. But we got out in the end with all of our tax money back again. So how'd you come up with the idea for this, Steve?
It started, there was a competition to try and get an 18-card role-playing game. And I was just playing around with my favourite genre, heist movies. They're my absolute favourite kind of movies. I've never seen a game do it the way I wanted to do it. And I was also just trying to think about, I don't like the fact that role-playing games, you have to buy a huge book and devote 3-4 hours just to play one game. I figured we could do it a bit better and make a party version. And that's, so I sit down and figured out how to do it with 18 cards. And we've added a few more extra cards now. There's 40 cards in the deck. So you've got lots of different options and different ways to play, but the whole thing's very, very streamlined and lets you play a whole heist movie in 15 minutes.
Excellent. And if anyone's interested in checking the game out or having a look at it, where can people find you?
Yeah, so we're tinstargames.com. So that's TIN like the metal, tinstargames.com. And we're also on Facebook and Instagram and everything. So anywhere that you see Tin Star Games, you can check it out and get a copy.
Excellent. Thanks very much, and hope you have a good rest of the PAX.
Thank you.
Nice.
All right, so I'm here with Kyle Jarrett from King Games. Kyle's game here is Architects. I will just say off the top, I was super impressed with it, right up my alley. But I might let the expert talk about what the game about. So Kyle, awesome to see you. Good to see you again after the game day. Tell us a little bit about Architects and its journey.
Sure. So it started with a brief instead of an idea. I wanted to create a game that me and my friends and my wife would all actually like to play. So I looked at those elements: deck building, area control, competitive but not too cutthroat, not too much take that, a theme that wasn't too boy-ish as well. So instead of medieval fantasy battles, we've got repair robots competing to repair areas of the ship. And so all those elements ended up in this game, and I think I'm hitting that mark. So yeah, happy with where it's at the moment.
Yeah, so I guess one of the things that I was super impressed with is its production is really, really good for a prototype. I sort of made a comment that, this is so far and wide, like probably the most impressive I've seen. And what I was super impressed with was the iconography. So the way that the game works is you play your cards into your action area, and the A actions are all unique to a particular card, right? So I thought that was really cool. But your B actions are build.
That's
so
right.
B is for build.
And orange.
And orange. So build actions are always orange, and they cost the orange resource. Then your C units are the core actions.
Right. Yep.
So the C actions are core actions, and all the C is all purple.
That's
and
right.
so on and so forth. So, yeah, what sort of inspired you? Sort of talked about to make a game for your friends and family that they want to play. So what inspirations have you taken so far?
So last year I actually did the Think Like a Game Designer course, and that was really good. At the time I was busy with a lot of stuff, and so I didn't really contribute in it as much as I wanted. But one thing that I got out of it was that I realized my day job as an industrial designer, I wasn't following my design rules when I was designing games. I was just coming up with ideas and making a game, which is the opposite of what I would preach for design. If I have sort of one flowery thing I'd say as a design philosophy, it would be to solve a problem, don't design a solution. Design a solution is like what you might think an engineer does, where they're like, oh, this works, oh, but not quite, I'll fix it, I'll do this, I'll keep iterating on that thing. Whereas really, you need to think about what the problem is you want to solve. Maybe you can get rid of that problem in another way. Maybe you can completely do something different rather than just persisting with designing a solution and force-fitting it. And I wasn't doing that. So what I got out of that course was I made a brief. What kind of game do I want to make? What are the elements that I like? Why? What are the emotional reactions you get out of those elements?
Yeah.
And that brief led into this. And that was after the course, but that brief led into this, and I think that process really helped in creating something that made sense and had a really good game flow and thematically made sense, and the processes that you do made sense. I made a flowchart of like how the game would work.
Awesome.
Because I made this brief and I was like, how do I do it?
Yeah.
And so I made a flowchart of like, you need this, therefore you have to do this. If you can't get that, you have to do this other thing. That led to, I'm going to need these actions. That's the list of things you're going to need to be able to choose from. The initial version of the game had 9 or 10 different actions to choose from. It was a friggin' nightmare. So I took things from deck building worker placement games. There's no workers in this, but the places, the actions are grouped in the same way. So like in Dune Imperium, you have those triangle spaces. You have build spaces, orange things or orange actions you can choose from. So grouping those actions made it super simple. Went down from like 10 things you can do to 3.
Yeah.
Which really helped the game flow. So looking at that process from the start really improved the end result of the game.
And it's really clear that you've streamlined this process, right? Now, as to say, it's a simple game in any measure. It's hitting that sweet spot for, I think, what you were looking for in terms of, there's lots of choices to be made. There's a slight bit of asymmetry between the two factions that you play as. So it is a 2-player game.
Yeah, my goal is sort of 1 to 3.
Yep.
I don't feel anyone should have to wait for 3 people's turns before theirs. So
sure,
sort of 1 to 3. But at the moment, I've got it set up for 2 and testing 2.
And so I guess, when you're talking about the actions, you're right. So the actions that you can take are open. So you're not pigeonholed into, this is the turn that I'm taking a particular action because that spot's there. You can take whatever actions you want, but there's only specific actions on the card. And I think that's really cool. So I think I'd sort of, it's hard when there's so many games in the market not to draw parallels to things, but I mentioned like with Lost Ruins of Arnak, I felt that your deck building side of things, it actually felt like I was building a deck and building an AI that actually helped take over. I was upgrading that AI. It became more efficient. You open up more slots to take action. So I think in terms of thematic sense, it really hit the nail on the head.
Oh, great. Thanks. Yeah, I actually think it's really useful to compare to other games, and I wish more people did it in their advertising for games. Like, if every board game had a for fans of games like this, I would know straight away if I liked it. Like, this is for fans of Dune Imperium. Imperium's Classics Legends, Eric Lang games like Rising Sun and Ankh and Blood Rage. This is for you if you like those sorts of games. So if I say that, you'll know, I'm going to be interested in looking at this.
Sure.
Whether or not you love it, like that tells you straight away. It's not innovating everything, it's combining interesting things, it's innovating a bunch of things and creating a fun experience.
And you even mentioned like the Eric Lang side of things, because there is that area of control. You're vying for control to complete effectively those missions, but it's the AI program that you're looking to run.
The repair projects for your crashed ship, and the area control. It's not cutthroat. There's no battles, So it's more about positioning, how you can be the most efficient and useful around the ship. But it is still a competition because you want to be the one that wins in that area. And so without too much take that and battling, there's still a lot of repositioning and moving that affects those things, and last minute little surprise changes that can upset the flow of what's going on.
Yeah, and you sort of said then I had a card that was like, oh, I could have done a sneaky move there and it could have helped me win.
Yeah.
So we played through 3 rounds, which is good. And we sort of mentioned the victory point condition. So how far along do you see this project? What else are you trying to get out of it?
Very much on and off, because I'm doing this in my spare time. For the last year I've been doing this, or a year and a bit. A lot more lately, getting ready for PAX, and it's been through a few very different iterations. The current iteration I'm pretty happy with, and I think now it's at the stage where I'm balancing resources, card effects, but also the game feel. I mean, if I say something like, I like the kind of games where you go, oh, I want to do this, but I need that first. So if I do this, I can get that. Now I can do that. I feel like a pro. That's the feel I'm going for, so I want to make sure I'm creating those opportunities, as well as, oh, that's really awesome, maybe I can do that in 3 turns, so I'll start saving up for that, or start preparing for that. And then when you do it in 3 turns times, you're like, yes, I pulled off that awesome thing.
And I totally felt that with the upgrading my programming, because I had to say, all right, I had to save up to be able to build my technology.
Great.
So I had
that's
to take,
the right kind of feedback that I need.
That felt really good. And
sometimes I think of it as like, I don't know, it's a term I made up, but like Zen state thinking.
Yeah.
When my brain gets in that mode, I'm happy.
Yeah, cool.
That's where I want to sit while I'm playing games.
And sort of one of the things we've done to round out these little chats is, what are you thinking of PAX? You told me that you'd been in PAX Rising before. How do you find the collab area? What are you enjoying about it?
Yeah, so PAX Rising I found quite awkward, because it was a little bit like a stall and a little bit like collab where you've got a table set up to test stuff, and kind of specifically neither. You're sitting down with people to play, you're not talking to people walking past, and so it was a bit awkward, but it was good. It was a good experience. Collab's been quite good. The bit of feedback I've learned right now that I tell to everyone is like, feel free to steer people away if they're not the right kind of person, because it's not going to benefit either of you. If someone just wants to have a bit of fun, do a little demo maybe, but getting the right kind of people is super useful. Like the game we played this morning, that was really great, because I was seeing those emotional reactions and seeing how you learned and picked up things and which things are intuitive and not. It's really such a huge contrast between the right kind of playtesters.
Sure.
Which again, I think that's where that mentioning the similar games comes in. It's like, if you like these games, please come playtest, because I want those people who are interested in those things to tell me what they think of this. Someone who's completely new to it doesn't have the context to help with the right kind of feedback. I'm happy to give someone a fun go if they want to, but it's really helpful to find the right people.
Yeah.
And there's so many people here. So
it's nuts. It's super busy today. So it is super busy. So thanks for giving us your time. Like you are really busy. I'm looking forward to see how this progresses. So where can people follow you, find out about more information on Architects, and of course your previous games?
Sure. If I just give my website is king.com.au. That's king with a Y, KYNG.com.au. That's got a bunch about the games that I'm working on. There's a mailing list there you can sign up. There's a link to other socials. Also working on some game design or game accessories. Some new products coming out that are on there as well. So check it out. Sign up to the mailing list if you want a notification on when this kind of thing's happening.
And you got a TTS mod running?
Yeah, definitely looking for regular playtesters. I'd love groups that would like to take this away and play and come back with some feedback. Definitely looking for people who are interested in doing that sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure. So if you're looking for a game that does have that area control deck building, I think this is going to be something really special to look forward to. So yeah, thanks again, Kyle, for your time, and all the best for the rest of the weekend.
Thanks, mate. You too.
All good.
Cheers.
Okay, I'm standing here with Chris Anthony. Chris, yesterday we were able to play your game Tropical. I'd love for you to just tell us about it.
Okay, sure thing. So Tropical is a 2-player bluffing set collection game about collecting tropical fruit. Think like Sushi Go Party, but a little bit more mind games and combos and things like that.
Yeah. What was your inspiration for the game? Can you tell us about when you first came up with the idea for this game?
So I wanted to design a game about tropical fruit for ages, and I've tried like maybe 11 or 12 iterations. I didn't really find anything that worked. But last year when I got married, me and my wife decided we wanted to make a little game to give out as wedding favors, and we made a bluffing game, really simple. Nice little mint-in box, gave it to all the guests, they enjoyed it. But I thought it could be made a bit more gamery by expanding the scoring element of the game. So I did that, but then the core bluffing mechanism, I thought there was one little issue I had with it the whole time. So I changed that a little bit, which turned into something completely new. So then that just turned into a completely new game, and then I themed it around tropical fruit, and then Tropical was made. Yeah.
And so how long ago was that? How long has it been in development for?
So the original Wedding Favor game, Vows, was made about 2 years ago. So that project was 6 months from start to finish, which I'm super happy that we could get something done in that time frame. And then Tropical has been in development for about a year. Yeah.
And so what stage is it at now? It seemed fantastic. I can't imagine that it needs anything else, but I was just wondering, where do you see that it is?
Sure. I think there's maybe 5% that could be tweaked a bit. I think the core mechanism is pretty solid. I think some of the cards work really well. I think others are not quite where I want them to be. But I've designed it so that, it's modular, so there's a bunch of content, and there's enough really solid content for a product, I believe. So I think it's after PAX, I'm going to probably start pitching it.
Yeah. I'm just curious, do you pitch ideas or games to your wife? Does she give you feedback?
Oh yeah, all the time. She's a dentist, and there's a dental game I want to make that I've been thinking about for a while, and she gives me a lot of really cool information about being a dentist and dentistry and things like that I wouldn't know otherwise, and I'm just thinking about how I could turn that into a game and the thematic hooks, and there's a lot there. So that's one big heavy one that I haven't created a prototype for yet, but she's definitely going to be a big help once that becomes a thing.
So pitching a game, when you think about pitching a game, is that a nerve-wracking process for you?
Definitely. And in Australia, every Australian designer is kind of at a disadvantage because there's 3 publishers locally that we can pitch to, and they're all full and super busy. So we need to go realistically internationally. And a lot of international publishers will only accept pitches at big trade conventions, so Gen Con, Origins, Essen, things like that. COVID made things a little bit better for us because no one could pitch in person, so they were more open to digital pitches. And some publishers are still open to digital pitches, so things have gotten a lot better, but it's still, there's a lot of amazing, talented designers in Australia that would be signing more games if we were overseas, but we're not, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So pitching's tough, but you do what you got to do.
Back to Tropical, I did play it yesterday, and I also watched a couple of the other barbecue members play it. And it was wonderful to see that mental struggle in this 2-player game, really playing with the other person's mind. It was wonderful. Do you enjoy watching that?
Oh, definitely. And the rules are very simple, so it's easy to teach, but there's different layers that most people will pick up on the more they play. And when you see someone have that aha moment, and oh, actually, I could do this, and oh, if you're doing that, maybe you're doing this, but you could be doing this other thing. And you can see the gears working in their head, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
I have to admit, I didn't know that you designed Guildmaster until I saw you next to the box just a moment ago. What's probably the most important thing you've learnt, in designing games?
Most important thing I've learned? Put me on the spot.
Oh, sorry.
Well, Guildmaster was a very long process. I'm super happy with it. I think the most important thing that I've learned is that you can make an amazing game, but how it does critically or commercially is kind of a roll of the dice. Guildmaster did very well commercially, but because it released end of 2020, height of COVID, it was the really unideal time to release a game that you want to be playing with 4 people with your friends and you know whatnot. And just not to tie commercial success with own self-worth. Because I'm super proud of it. The people I know that have played it liked it a lot. It made 3 Game of the Year lists. It did good.
Yeah.
But the industry's always moving, and 2020 is super old in this industry.
Yeah. It's been so good to talk to you, and I've been so happy to meet you. So thank you very much.
Good to see you again, Dana. Take care.
I wanted to share one of the most exciting RPGs that I've come across roaming the halls of PAX. I'm here with V, who is the designer of Fight with Spirit, the sports drama RPG. V, can you tell us about the RPG?
Hello. So Fight with Spirit is a sports drama RPG wherein you play high school or college students all in the same team, chasing your dreams and trying to win the tournament arc. Now this game is built to support any kind of sport, so anything from basketball, volleyball, fencing, but even weirder stuff like Quidditch or pro vending. As long as you're going through the tournament arc, you're going to have a good time.
Awesome. It very much gave me, when I walked past it, what attracted me to your booth was the art very much gave me that like sports anime vibe. I'm assuming that's what you were kind of going for.
Yes, absolutely. I'm a lover of sports anime and definitely grew up in, I'm going to betray my age here, in the era where like Prince of Tennis was on bootleg DVDs, but like that we like handed to each other. So it's been a long love, and this, from sports movies to sports anime, these stories are built to tell collaborative stories about what it means to be a team together.
Yeah, it's great. What I don't like sports at all, but what also attracted me was that the production value of the game, of the RPG, is amazing. The components look really great. They look really great quality. It's nice, vibrant colours. Is that something I guess you had set out to do when you were designing?
Yeah, so I art directed the game, and I think one of the things that I really wanted to convey was no specific sport, but a general uplifting feeling and like bright colors and really like approachable and friendly art and design was definitely what we were going for. It is a sports game, but what sports mean in this context is very broad. So anything from chess tournaments to Pokemon tournaments, whatever your heart's desire is able to be played, and we had to kind of reflect that in how we presented the game.
When we were talking through it, it seems very structured compared to some, I guess, looser RPGs that are out there, which I think would be very attractive for people who are new to RPGs. So I think it would probably be a great lead-in to role-playing, for example. The other thing that it kind of gave me the vibe of is, have you played Alice is Missing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so it does have a lot of frameworks. So as designers, I think one of the things that's always important to us is to never leave the players struggling to know where to take their creativity. We know that everyone has a story in them, and we want to give them space to do that, but that doesn't mean not giving them any support or tools. So Fight with Spirit does have a framework that helps you along, but it's going to give you opportunities to be creative within that. I do think that it's nice for new players when they have like a set of instructions or steps that the game helps you with, so that you don't feel like you're not empowered because you could do anything, which means you could do nothing at all. Like, we need a little bit more than that, and I think this game has that.
I think from an RPG point of view, if I don't have structure, I will resort to my worst tendencies, which is be a chaotic little gremlin. What I like about these sorts of structured RPGs is it gives you a chance to role play something you wouldn't necessarily have thought of on your own. It kind of is a really good feeling when you kind of pull it off. If people are interested in playing or getting a copy of Fight with Spirit, how can they get a copy?
Yes, they're on sale through our website, storybrewsroleplaying.com. As a PDF, you can also order a physical copy there. If you're Australian based, that is going to be coming from our warehouse, i.e. our living room. So we are very, very grateful for all the support.
Awesome, thank you so much. I'm going to be talking about it on a podcast episode, so I'll flesh it out a lot more and we'll get more information about it, but highly recommend you check out Fight with Spirits. Thank you so much, V.
And thank you.
Transform your gaming experience with the Table Flippers. The Table Flippers specialise in handcrafted custom game tables that turn your living space into the ultimate gaming arena. Designed for style and functionality, their tables are guaranteed to elevate your game night. Visit thetableflippers.com.au to explore their stunning designs and to order your premium game table today. Okay, so that's PAX 2024 Australia. Thanks very much for coming along the journey with us. Thanks to everyone who came up to us and said hi. Thanks to all of our Patreons. Don't forget, if you want to become a Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/boardgamebarbecue to donate and get access to exclusive events and breakfasts and jackpot nights and trivia nights with all the other Patreons. And you can also support the podcast not by donating, but just by jumping on our socials and clicking like and subscribe and subscribing to our Eventbrite channel and joining us on Facebook and Instagram and X and what else are we missing, Dana? Discord.
And also another thank you to our sound technician, who's not going to like this, but I'm just going to slide it over real carefully. And yeah, huge thanks, Harry. I hope you've had a good time.
Yeah, had a great time. Thanks for having me with you guys, and yeah, it's been a pleasure playing games and hanging out the whole weekend.
Thanks, Harry. Eternally grateful, brother.
And we'll catch you again next week for a regular...
Who was that guy?
Can someone... Security! And we'll catch you next week for a regular episode with all of our sizzles and what's got us fired up, and we'll recap, of course, last week's question of the pod. But until next time, play more games. Bye.
Bye.